also keeping kind of that Korean kind of grinding spots element, but also adding in like traditional dungeons and other traditional MMO content from like WoW or other popular MMOs. Man, oh, that would be perfect. All right, so before we go over this post, I'm going to tell you my thoughts first, which is very similar to this individual's post. Uh, Also, real quick, huge shout out to everyone that left a comment on my Throne and Liberty video about dungeons. It was kind of insane. This was my first video with having like so many comments, and I tried my best to reply back to most of the comments. And if I didn't, I still read your comment. So if you're one of the people who left a comment, I really appreciate it. Okay, back to the main video. So I've kind of always known in the back of my mind that BDO has just ruined other MMOs for me, right? And after trying out Throne and Liberty, man, I just miss BDO. And for those who have like spent any serious amount of time in Black Desert Online, I think a lot of you can probably relate. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Throne and Liberty is a bad game, right? I actually think it's a decent game, and it has really good group content, right? The graphics is amazing, sound is amazing, combat is really not that bad in my opinion, and in general it's just a solid game. But the things that made BDO special are it's just really hard to replicate in other games. And once you've experienced them, it's really just tough to go back to anything else. But obviously BDO is hurting right now, right? Player count is down, node wars are pretty much non-existent, and just in general, like the updates that PA has been coming out with, just a lot of players are just not happy with it, right? And PA just does not care to listen to their community, and it just sucks, man. Like it really just sucks, right? And here comes Throne and Liberty, and it's something new, and there's actually PvP content for PvP players, which BDO has been trying to, for some reason, delete their PvP out of their game over the last year. I don't know. There's a few kind of theories behind it, but it's just kind of crazy, especially since this game, in my opinion, was kind of designed for open world PvP and just crazy large scale battles, which just made it unique and popular when you pair it with the combat system. But either way, the direction for BDO, it has not been positive. So a lot of content creators have been trying to provide feedback to help get the game back in the right path. And of course, we know from prior years that PA, for the most part, is not going to listen to us, right? So as a whole, a lot of the community actually has just stopped playing and has been playing Throne and Liberty, or maybe other games, to essentially like go on strike, right, from the game, to hopefully get the developers to wake up and fix their game, which I think is a good way to get the message across, right? But at the same time, like I realized that I just miss BDO, and it just sucks. It hurts that the game that I love and I'm very passionate about pretty much since 2016, it's just in a terrible state with the community. But yeah, why I miss BDO isn't necessarily actually the combat, right? Even though BDO's combat system is definitely one of the best, and if not the best, especially when compared to other tab target MMOs. And the combat is definitely high on the list, but it's not the real reason why I miss BDO. Okay, the real reason why I miss BDO is just the freedom that this game has, right? In BDO, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, right? If you want to grind for hours at one spot on the map and then go do some life skills on the other side of the map, right? You can do that and still make some valuable progress with your character, right? So you're not like tied down to just doing like one activity. Now, granted, yes, grinding at higher end grind spots is going to make you the most money. So you could kind of say that you're kind of griefing yourself if you don't grind those spots. And that's a valid point. It's a valid point. But you can at least choose what you want to do for that day, even though it might not be like the most efficient. So, you can go grind at higher gear score spots, right? Requiring more attention so you don't die. Or you can go grind at lower tier spots and not really worry about dying and maybe like watching your favorite anime show or show. So, you're still making some silver, right? You're still kind of progressing your character while also progressing your show. Or maybe, you can do some like life skilling, right? You can go capture and train some horses or, do cooking or alchemy, gathering, farming, bartering, right? The list goes on. So, BDO lets you engage in all of this kind of at your own pace, whenever you want, kind of with your own play style. And, if we look at other MMOs that's a little bit more structured, has a little bit more of a structured approach. You hit max level, and then it's kind of pretty clear of what the end game is going to be, right? Kind of what it expects from you. You gear up, you run raids, or do dungeons, do dailies, which I can't stand dailies, and then you just repeat that whole process, right? And there's really nothing wrong with that model, but once you've tasted kind of that open-ended freedom sandbox aspect that like BDO offers, and it's just really hard to go back to something that feels so restricting. And, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that BDO has like crazy amazing content, but the content that it does have, it at least gives you like that freedom, right? That choice. Which, of course, I'm going to reiterate again that there are more efficient ways of playing BDO, right? But it really never tells you that you need to do this particular thing in this particular order to progress your character. Okay. And there's no right or wrong way of playing this game. So let me know down in the comments, if you were, playing BDO and then you went to Throne and Liberty, and if you're actually, enjoying Throne and Liberty, or are you missing BDO? But anyway, that was just kind of my take on this kind of post here real quick before we actually go over the post. So let's take a look at it. All right, so BDO broke me and I'm fine with it. 8 days ago. So for the last week or so, I've been playing the new MMO that just released, Throne and Liberty, as I was quite interested about the game and wanted to see what it's got to offer. Saw a lot of guides, early reviews, and dived right in. So naturally, at first, I felt very excited about the new world to explore, new mechanics, gameplay, content, etc. But as the time passed, I caught myself starting to miss more and more things from BDO. Yes. In Throne, I participated in any type of PvP and PvE content that I could after hitting max level, and it was quite fun. But no matter how much time I spent in the game or what I did, I just always went back to feeling like I'm trying to convince myself to have more fun in Throne than I have in BDO. Yeah, I think that's a pretty valid point there. For example, even though I played plenty of MMOs with tab target before, BDO, once you experience that free flow of movement and action combat, nothing compares to it. You even start looking for it in some single player games that you play occasionally. Yeah, I mean, of course, BDO has the best action combat that we've ever played in a MMO. And this is definitely one of the top reasons for sure why it's just not the same when you play any other MMO, and even specifically Throne and Liberty. And that is only the most obvious difference about the two games. But then I started to miss the mount system and flying around on my T10 Pega, or no restrictions in how do I want to spend my time, whether it's life scaling, grinding, joining in for party bosses, engaging some PvP, or just hanging around in a town, browsing the market, and then doing some enhancing. Yes, the freedom. The freedom. And honestly, I really actually like Throne and Liberty's morph system. It's very smooth, very fluid. And I didn't really care too much about the whole I didn't really miss BDO's mount system per se. Now I do have like a T9, so I'm a noob in regards to that. So maybe the T10 is just amazing. It looks amazing. But I think the freedom, just the freedom that you have with BDO, like in Throne and Liberty, it's pretty much obligatory to do the same type of activities every single day, as a good portion of them is time gated, yes, or otherwise you'll miss out and fall behind. Yeah, I think that's where you really start to see the full system of Throne and Liberty once you reach level 50. It's kind of like what happened to me when I hit level 50, and I'm like, yep. I played Lost Ark, and it feels very similar on how the progression of your character is going to feel. And it's just not really my play style. The restrictive type of gameplay in Throne alone just makes me appreciate the freedom of BDO that much more. The final thoughts are, for me, BDO has always been one of those rare games that stood out as having actual identity, and when playing Throne, no matter what I do, it just feels like doing the same thing, but with a slightly different spin that you have been doing pretty much in most of the MMOs. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that 100%. This just made me realize that through all of the ups and downs of the BDO, it's still the game I prefer to play and will continue to do so regardless of what some streamers or people that just repeat what they heard are trying to convince you of. It's a solid point. I mean, he made all solid points here. Made all solid points. And again, it's really unfortunate that PA does not listen to their community at all. It's really unfortunate. It kind of tears the community apart, right? Because when your content creators are happy and streaming it and talking about it, then everyone's happy. But then when you have a divide with the content creators, then you kind of have a divide in the community. And just really, really unfortunate. But yeah, he made all kind of valid points, and I'm sure a lot of people kind of feel that way too. So let's look at some of these comments. I'm probably not going to read through all of them, but we'll read through some of them. Part of the crew, part of the ship. I like that. Yep. If we're all on it, we're all going to kind of crash sinking. So as captains, we will go down with our sinking ship. Yep. I read the name. I read the flare. This is Merc. Fancy seeing you in Reddit. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Just made me rewatch that movie. Thank you. Part of the crew, part of the ship. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End Quote. Very, very good movie. Tab targeting needs to die. All right. Yeah. I wish more MMOs had hack and slash combat. BDO has by far the best combat system of any modern MMO and should be the gold standard. 1000% agree with this, actually. I don't know about the tab targeting needs to die. I don't mind tab targeting. I mean, it's been around for so long. Just not really my type of play style. I like more engaging combat. But I mean, Throne and Liberty's tab targeting is not bad. It's got some movement to it. I really didn't mind it. It's more of the systems in Throne and Liberty I don't really care for. It wasn't actually the combat at all. It's just crazy to think that there hasn't been another MMO to replicate BDO's combat and still provide those more traditional MMO elements group dungeons, like your traditional group dungeons and other, traditional MMO activities. It blows my mind that there's not another MMO that's come out to kind of copy BDO combat, but still provide actual good content into the game. And, still include, I love my grinding spots. Don't get me wrong. For some reason, grinding in a circle, I don't know why that's so addicting, but it is. It's really weird. I don't get it. I don't understand how my brain likes that. Maybe it's because, I'm grinding in a circle and I'm also watching a TV show at the same time. So I'm double productive. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing ever. Yeah. But anyway, if we had an MMO that had a combination of BDO's combat and also keeping kind of that Korean kind of grinding spots element, but also adding in like traditional dungeons and other traditional MMO content from like WoW or other popular MMOs. Man, oh, that would be perfect. Perfect. Let's see. While they are different, I'd put New World on top as well. I don't mind New World's combat. New World's definitely more Dark Souls-esque. And I like the block mechanic and whatnot, the dodge. What I don't really care for New World's combat too much is it's like it's not as engaging as BDO's, and the cooldowns are much higher, right? And I think you only have like what, 6 skills. You have 3 skills on one weapon and then 3 skills on the other weapon, and then you're pretty much just kind of like either light attack or heavy attack. So, but yes, I would say New World's combat is probably like number 2 for me. ESO's combat is up there. A lot of people say ES combat is just like jankety, but I actually enjoy it. So I would say like ESO, New World, and BDO's combat is definitely up there for what I like to play for an MMO. I don't know if is there any other MMOs with action combat other than those like 3 that I'm thinking of. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there might be another one somewhere. What's wrong with tab targeting games? Don't you know the word preference? Tab target equals bots. Yeah, there are more bots prevalent, that's for sure. I'm returning to BDO after trying Throne and Liberty. LOL. I just play FM24 at this point. I'm not sure what that is. I have no idea. FM24. Drawing a blank. Sorry you don't have fun playing BDO anymore. I still do. I only stopped because I wanted to try a few new games that came out. Well, for now at least, all this farm for the new weapons is too much for now. Mostly disappointed with PvP Node War reworks. Most likely will start again later. I switched to mostly life skilling, so not too bad for me right now. Yeah. The thing with life skilling is, like, it's fun and it's good, but the payoff reward amount it's like you're griefing yourself. And again, you know, BDO allows you the freedom to do whatever you want, but most people, if they're not doing what's the most efficient like thing and making the most money, then all the other content is just going to be on the back burner. I just wish BDO had better group stuff. 1000% agree. The combat in this game is the best in an MMO, hands down, but man, oh man, I just wanted dedicated stuff to do. I guess that's why people love BDO in a lot of ways, though. You can do it solo and not worry. And I think that's another key component here, too, is BDO can pretty much be soloed, and it really caters to solo players, which is good. Like, I would consider myself like I'm more of a solo player, and so having that freedom to do whatever you want is important. But I think every MMO needs to have a good blend of both systems, right? We need a solo aspect, but we also need a group aspect too, and allow the player to decide which path they want to go down, right? It shouldn't be completely restricted where you only have solo content and then you have only group content. And I feel like BDO and Throne and Liberty, like you can kind of compare that, right? BDO, very kind of solo-ish game. Throne and Liberty, very group-made game. And so if there was a way to like combine both elements, I think that would be the best for a lot of people. I want more challenging group stuff or more dynamic events, grind spots. I think dynamic events, like open world dynamic events, would be so cool in BDO. I can handle the ups and downs of PvP. Every PvP game craps the bed with its balance and method at some point. Yeah. BDO's being quite long for a while now, but I want more stuff to do as a group. I'll grind, but give me something to do to grind with my friends. Yeah. And they've done group PvE grind spots, and that's cool, I guess. I mean, it's good to have, and I wish there was more, but we still need more engaging group content. Same here. It does feel very isolated on BDO. Yep. Been playing BDO since launch. Been very pro BDO gamer, but over the last half of the year, I felt like they truly don't care about their core player base. It's weird to think I haven't logged into BDO for the last 2 weeks because I've basically been logged in since 2016. BDO is my favorite MMO ever, and it pisses me off that they've ruined it this bad. I keep hoping that they'll revert changes or make changes to fix the issues, but I think it's too far gone now. It was a fun run. 2016 to 2018 was peak BDO, and it was probably the most memorable time I had in any game. It's a shame it had to die like this. Yeah, I mean, the whole dying aspect, I mean, the game's not going to die, right? Like, there's still going to be a player base. Now, it might be significantly less, but I don't think BDO is truly going to die, okay? The systems in the game, the combat in the game, it's really unique. So that will carry it for quite a long time. So it's not going to die, but the player base is definitely going to be significantly less, for sure. For sure. Many of us felt obliged to quit the game. We prefer to play. I'm currently playing Throne and Liberty, not because I think it's better than BDO, but it's better than the current state of BDO. Yeah, and I think a lot of people has that same mindset, right? That's just kind of like a big middle finger to PA, essentially. Like, we love your game, but we're not going to play it because you don't listen to us. BDO's combat can only carry it so far. I mean, I think that's one component for sure. BDO's combat is one of the components. There are a couple other components, life skilling, and just a bunch of other different aspects that will allow it to continue on. I'm genuinely enjoying Throne and Liberty, playing it because I can't support PA and the recent decisions. Yep. I still think BDO back in its glory days was far better than Throne and Liberty. 100% agree. I think if you would have compared BDO when it first released ish and then Throne and Liberty, I think a lot of people would say yes, BDO definitely much better. But now if you compare BDO state to Throne and Liberty state, then yes, Throne and Liberty is going to be much higher. And I would say, for me, and I'm biased because I love BDO, probably back then when I first played it, I think I'll give it a rating once the Awakening weapons came out, because I didn't really care for the game until the Awakening weapons came out. So once they came out, I think for me, it was like a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Like, I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. Throne and Liberty, I'd probably give that like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Yeah, I'd probably give it that. And currently, if I had to rate BDO right now, I'd probably give it like a 4 or 5 out of 10 with its current state. That combat style for Throne and Liberty is obsolete, and people are lying to themselves out of hive-minded thinking to believe otherwise. BDO is still uncontested. Now, I don't blame them for being angry. I don't think anyone said TNL combat's better or any game compared to BDO, but people are willing to endure combat if other parts compensate for it. Yeah. Whereas BDO, it just has combat going for it at this stage. Combat in BDO is best ever made for MMO, but enhancing system is worst at the same time. They've improved the enhancing system for BDO. Right now there's a fail safe. So, but yes, back in the day, it was very, very harsh, right? TNL can offer multiple ways to progress your gear or traits. Meanwhile, on BDO, you run in circles to buy crons and fail enhancing never-ending loop. See, I don't mind running in circles, but I think the progression of your character needs to be better. And just add in other content, like more group content that people can enjoy, right? People love grinding in a circle. I love grinding in a circle, but a lot of other people don't like to do that. So having other content to appease or make happy other people in order to play the game, I think is important, right? You have to have a variety of content for a variety of different play styles. I've seen much worse enhancement systems in BDO. Yeah, I agree. And they've made it better too. Yeah, but the only good thing in BDO is the combat, nothing else. I mean, I don't. Yes, BDO is sure. The combat is amazing, but the other content is not bad in the game, right? It needs to be kind of updated, and there needs to be other content for sure, right? But I think just saying that the only thing in BDO is the combat, I don't agree with that. There are definitely multiple good things about BDO. They just need to improve Node Wars, and they need to add more group content. Going to be a very long time before an MMO can touch BDO standard for combat. I love BDOs, but stopped playing a few years back. Still searching for a replacement, but nothing out there. Too bad BDO is so grindy. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the whole grind aspect. I enjoy that. Yeah, I don't even actively play BDO. Tried TL, and I just didn't want to stay there for a multitude of reasons. I think I'm just going to stay on BDO until it dies. After that, I don't know. Probably my last MMO. What most people don't get about gaming is sad in me, even though people will downvote me. Here it is. Been playing BDO since day one. I love the combat system, considered the best. BDO is a 90% solo game with not even 10% of the time PvP. Throne and Liberty, on the other hand, is a more classic tab action targeting system. It is completely opposite of BDO. Once you hit 50, if you're not in a good guild who does things together and organizes events and dungeon runs, then you can do nothing to progress. See, I think that's the aspect with Throne and Liberty where you really need a guild. Like it like forces you to be in a guild to like progress your character. Now, granted, you can play Throne and Liberty solo. You don't need to be in a guild to progress, but it's much harder. Much harder. You may as well ditch the game. Almost everything should be done within a group for it to be profitable. If you spam DPS LFG, that means looking for a group, that means that you're either a solo player or the guild you are isn't dead, or the guild you're in, it just exploits you in order to gear up or close circle. For instance, my guild, which is full of 70 people, we sometimes don't find enough time for dungeons as we do all the content there is. No one's complaining about being left behind. BDO has messed up with a lot of people's mindsets about how games should make you interact with other people and build communities. Don't misunderstand me. I love BDO, but on the group content and nowadays organized PvP content thing that should have you socialize and not play a single player game. It is one of the worst games out there. I hope Jay pulls his head and earns a Bugatti for once. Yeah, I mean, you can say this whole mindset aspect. And sure, MMO, it's a massively multiplayer online game where you play with a lot of people. But I think you have to, like, I don't know what the research is with like introverts and extroverts. I think it might be like half and half, or there might be a little bit more introverts than extroverts. Either way, you have to compare. Like for me, you compare an MMO like you're going into a real world, like you're in a world, right? So if you take yourself right now in real life, it's not like you're going out of the way to make friends, right? It's not like you're going in a grocery store and like talking to every single one in there, right? Most people don't do that. If you do, then let me know down in the comments. But a lot of people, at least in an MMO, like to just be in a very immersive, populated world where other people are around you, and you can still kind of do your own thing, right? You can still do your own thing, and if you want to play with the group or play with friends or whatever it may be, then you can still do that. There's that option. But if you want to kind of play by yourself for that day, you can also do that as well. And that's why I think it's important to have both aspects where you have solo and group kind of mixed in. So whoever is an extrovert or whoever is an introvert can play the way they want to play, right? Like I think the notion of, I'm going on a rant here, I'm sorry, but I think the notion of having an MMO, it should only be group content and you have to always play with people. Like I just don't think that's true. Like if we literally look at our own real life, and we literally analyzed the research and whatnot, you would see that most people in real life are not going out of their way to do this stuff, right? To make a lot of friends or to go talk to random strangers. So, but I think it's important to have both. Okay, so before you go down in the comments and flame me, I'm not saying that being having an MMO strictly for solo is good. No, I think we need to have both aspects. Okay. Hopefully I got my point across there. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue on. I'm sure there's gonna be a few comments on that. So leave me a comment. I'll comment back to you. Okay. You're awesome for commenting. I appreciate you providing your feedback. Certain points like the fluidity of combat, feeling that you have control over every move and skill of your character is something strange, but none of that is useful if there's no mechanic or strategy. Other than spamming, spending hours repeating a combo without needing to look at the screen is not to my liking. It's fair. I mean, it's a fair point, sure. Not really your type of playstyle. I prefer to feel a rougher combat with the AI that makes me think what to do and how to stop. I also miss using my T10. Hey, look, there's another T10. The T10 horse must be really good. But the world of BDO has nothing to explore or discover. BDO always failed in exploration. I don't know about that. I mean, I think BDO does. I mean, sure, like it doesn't like again, going back to freedom, but it doesn't like force you to like go get waypoints and all this other stuff. But if you wanted to explore different parts of the map, you can, right? There's that freedom. It's not like you're completely restricted that you can't do that. And I think the world is very immersive, right? There's a lot of NPCs kind of roaming around. You know, it feels like a real world. Let's see. Sad reality is BDO has been stagnant for more than 8 years, and that is what should break people's hearts. That PA's decision was to focus on creating classes one after another in spots without mechanics. Yep, I think that's true too, right? They just keep creating a class every year, and it's not a bad thing. It's good to have classes, you know, diversity, but you got to add other content into the game too. You got to, and you got to add different. I mean, they do have some spots with different mechanics, but I think having more spots with more group content and group content that's relevant, right? Where you can still make some good silver. Instead of polishing the combat and adding real challenging content, combat just got faster, more exaggerated, and with more FX, while mobs remained as practice dummies and the graphics engine couldn't tolerate that speed. Took 8 years to put 3v3's arena. Yeah, that is insane. Like, why? Why did it take 8 years to put arenas into the game? Makes no sense. No sense at all. Stupid. I didn't expect TL to have BDO combat because the later is only good for 1v1s, but at the engineering level, it's not currently possible to make a good action combat for massive combats. Someday I hope an MMO with combat intermediate between Terra and BDO will come. Yeah. You know, I kind of forgot to mention, I think also too, while a lot of other developers haven't really created or copied BDO's like combat system is because BDO has its own engine, right? So you essentially would have to create your own engine to do like BDO's combat, which is a lot of money. All right, so one of the fondest memories in BDO is learning you could buy a raft 5 or 6 years ago. I visited all the islands close to Velia using the raft. Best feeling of exploration of any MMO. Yep, good old raft. Just traversing the waves. True, mine was my first trip to Valencia through the desert with no map, dying of heat. That's so true, though. It's like, I don't know how many times I got lost in the desert. Oh, gosh. And I didn't have pots either. So your health is just chunking down and down and down. You're like, oh, no, stop it. Agreed, but with Riot level scope money, they couldn't achieve in making what they deem a successful MMO, so I doubt we'll see one anytime soon unless some multi-billionaire does it does it at a loss or near acceptable loss without profit. Balancing 27 classes in a 3v3 arena is pretty wild as well, so it's not surprising, even though what we deem as balance is, but they still had to put in time to discuss, put up some segment of balance. Yeah. Total balance doesn't exist. Yeah, you can only get really close to the best you can. Very true. Yeah, it's still a great game despite its many flaws. Going to keep trucking along in the hopes that more meaningful content will release in the future. As long as it's enjoyable for you, then you do you, my man. Struggle on that. I got to 50, started the dungeon loop, got bored, moved on. Yeah, it's kind of what hit me. I didn't think it was a bad game or anything. Agreed. It just didn't have something to keep me hooked enough like BDO does. I really like the combat with this game, I guess. Yeah. Try TL, but it's just not fun. The world feels dull and soulless. Its constant bling of rewards feels very mobile. Well, it was originally made to be a mobile game, so that's true. Tap here to get rewards. Tap here to get rewards. Shows hundreds of thousands of people playing, but it doesn't feel like it. I mean, if you go into like one of the towns, you could definitely tell that there's people playing for sure. It's a mobile game just with mouse and keyboard support. It's going to get worse, but currently it's pretty fun if you have some friends to play with, but guess any game can be. Yeah. I am hoping Guild Wars 3 will replace BDO for me. We will see. Yeah, we'll see. Guys, Chrono Odyssey will save us. Got to pick something out of reach if you want to cope. Hey, I did a Chrono Odyssey video a few weeks back. You should go check it out. This game looks very interesting. We don't know too much about it, but it looks good. The trailers look good. However, the trailers can be really misleading, so we'll have to see as time goes on. But expected release for this game looks like it's going to be in the middle of 2025. I work too much to play as BDO as often as I want, but did just hit 20k hours. I feel everything you said. I really want to like Throne and Liberty. It's a beautiful game, but after playing for a week, there's so many small things you miss in this game's defense, though. That perspective applies to any other MMO. Nothing's as polished with so many quality of life improvements as BDO. Another aspect is time usage. In games like Throne and Liberty, you can play for a few hours a day and do everything you want to do. In BDO, it's not possible to do everything you want to do in under 24 hours. That is true. I mean, you could say where like Throne and Liberty like systems is like, yeah, you spend like 1 or 2 hours and then like you're kind of gated from that. Like you can't really progress your character beyond that point. Whereas BDO, like if you have 12 hours to play in a day, like you're going to progress much faster. And that's like pros and cons, right? Pros and cons to that. And some people would prefer that system where you're a little bit more restricted on that. So, if you do have like a daily job and, you're not able to play as much, then you might feel like you're kind of lacking behind if you do play BDO, I guess, in a way. But I think, with BDO, you have to like have the mindset of it's a marathon and not a sprint. So, and there's so many gear caps in this game now anyways. The gear score doesn't really mean very much unless you're going to like an Arsha server where you're facing like the top 1% of the population. So I tried Throne. It got boring after hitting level 50. Oh, nah, the only real life skill option is fishing. Yeah, which they actually just like recently added. The PvE requires me to wait and constantly spam. Look for a group. The open world PvP is restricted to world bosses. Gearing for traits wouldn't be so bad if I actually got to PvE instead of waiting for groups constantly. Yeah, a lot of bots. I stopped playing after a week. Yeah, there is some cooking and gathering. That's true. Yeah. Open world is restricted to world bosses. You didn't really properly play the game, did you? I probably played the game. Are you going to respond with, but you could open world PvP in limited time world events or at night at dungeons. Save it. Nobody wants to PvP for useless rewards. You calling Rift and Boonstones useless tells me everything I need to know about you. It's also just ironic of you to say any of this because current BDO is completely devoid of any open world PvP. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Don't forget that just because you personally don't want to do something doesn't mean others don't. A lot of the hardcore PvPers are playing the crap out of this game in a guild together on my server right now and loving the PvP. Yeah, it's true. Is that really true? 770 gear score? That's wild. I wish Ash Creation devs read this. I want it to be my future MMO, but they are making the same exact combat as Throne and Liberty, hybrid, yeah, with 2 camera modes. Please stop. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Throne and Liberties. I really don't. Is it good as BDOs? No. Ugh, we're getting there. Maybe I will go through all the comments. TNL is a classic tab target Korean MMO. It's just an elevated, newer iteration of Ion. I loved Ion, but when I hit BDO, nothing compared to it. Has its flaws, but it's evolving and changing. I recognize people's issues with it, but I think a lot of the criticism is too extreme. The game is a gem. Nothing compares to it. I'm excited to see where PA pushes the PvE elements of the game. Awakening Dosa just dropped, and it's a masterful support caster melee combat magic hybrid. That's a lot. I do like Awakening Dosa. It feels really good. So refreshing and unique. I think they were smart to give him all of the self and ally buffs as the game heads into more group stuff. Are we sure, though? Are we sure it's going to be heading into more group stuff? I mean, they did add the group party bosses, but yeah, I guess time will tell. I don't know. We'll see. It's slow and people are critical, but the game is unmatched. Sorry, but it's the truth. I remember in my WoW days raiding once a week for hours and hours to try a roll for a new gear. BDO is different, but the time invested is the same. New accessory changes are coming, so they won't blow up when they fail. That will be huge. We gotta be patient. Yeah, I don't know if I am a fan of the accessory. Maybe I would be a fan if we could actually sell it on the marketplace, but I don't like how you can't sell it on the marketplace. I don't know. I think that's just kind of odd. Like I think having it is fine, and I think being able to change like the traits within it, like if you want accuracy or evasion or whatever it may be, in that accessory where like that kind of diversifies the gear a little bit. I think that's good, but not being able to sell it, I don't like that. That's kind of weird to me. Supportive classes harm the game more than improve it. It's happening right now with Shy. All group content is dependent on her. Part of the appeal of BDO group content was getting a few friends or strangers to hit mobs with it. Didn't matter too much when they placed, since DPS is all that was needed. Now it gets a Shy, or you aren't killing the golem. It's even worse in PvP. I don't know. They just would have to kind of balance it, which PA doesn't do a very good job of balancing. BDO is the best, worst MMO out there. Has the highest potential. Yes. With the world and combat life skill system. Very true. It suffers from the non-originality of its development team and misunderstanding of its core strengths or how to utilize them and the time it takes PA to change things. If they want to do something today, it will come out 6 to 12 months from now. Yeah, it's so true. Yep, lacking communication and inability to give the players a working compromise of their wishes is what holds the game back. Yeah, they just don't listen. They don't listen to the community. And I think you have to listen to the majority of the community, right? You can't listen to the minority. You got to listen to the majority. 110% think BDO could be the best MMO by a long shot, but it'll never be. Yeah, no company would be able to develop it. Not a single one. PA tries hard to take the wrong turn almost every time. Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, whatever. I'm not gonna further elaborate PA's faults, but it's definitely interesting. The neuroscience of addiction. Yes, I need to look at that. For why is grinding in a circle addicting? People say, oh, you'll get back to BDO when you get tired with TNL. Bro, why? Why do people have to choose one of them? There are other games, and you could just not play video games and enjoy the real world for a while until the next good game comes out. Okay. BDO is just in a bad state now. We don't see any effort made from PA to try to make it better. Yeah. I do agree with that. It doesn't matter how bad TNL is. PA killed the BDO. PA killed the BDO, not any other games. There is no BDO killer except itself. I don't play TNL, so I can't comment. But combat doesn't just come out in PvP. You can experience BDO's combat and grinding and life scaling too. Combat is incredibly a big focal point of any MMO. So true. That is grindy by nature because it frames the way you participate in the game's content loops. The biggest reason why BDO has survived for as long as it has is because its combat feels incredibly rewarding to participate in, as in the buttons feel amazing to press. Yeah, and you have all these different combos and whatnot. It's very smooth. When you have a grindy game that has poor combat system, well, you're going to be interacting with that bad combat system for hundreds, if not thousands of hours. So true. Combat is a foundation of MMO. Very true. Among other foundations like PvE content or PvP content, dismissing it is unimportant or diminishing how great BDO's combat actually feels. Also, I'm not sure that there's some level of sunk cost fallacy to players into BDO's retention, but that goes into every MMO with a vertical progression system. I don't think it's a scam for wanting a game to be better. Yep. I'm tired of keep hearing combat, to be honest, bro. It's getting annoying. For those people, if a game does not have the same combat system in BDO, it's just a bad game. I just don't understand their logic. I mean, for me, there's many different aspects of BDO that I really love. Okay. And there is definitely a few different aspects that could be improved on. Like, literally, they can make just a few changes, and this game would be crazy amazing. Just a few changes. Just a few. Better Node Wars system, right? Maybe combining the new system in with the old system, potentially, and adding a lot more group-related PvE content, right? They could add some pretty cool, unique dungeons with unique mechanics. Like, it's, I mean, I know they have dungeons already, but those are different. Those are like more like with puzzles and stuff like that. Like, you need more traditional dungeons. TNL's gameplay is exactly as restricted as BDO's is. You can go life skill or PvP if you want, and you will going to fall behind in progress in both games, since neither can get meaningful progress from them. The browsing the market part just doesn't make sense. Both games have market. You can browse it in both. It's not like that the world count as a gameplay. Falling behind is such a dumb thing to worry about, in my opinion, when it comes to Korean MMOs. I understand when it's like, wow, but I go into Korean MMOs differently. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of comes down to, like, sure, like, Throne and Liberty, you really are restricted, like, to how many dungeons you can do and contracts you can do in a day. BDO, there's no restriction. There's no restriction to any of the content. But it goes back to when I started the video at the very beginning. Is it meaningful? So, like, if you do life scaling, you're kind of griefing yourself because you could be grinding at high-end grind spots to make more silver. So, you know, there's that choice. Obviously, most people are going to pick the most efficient choice, but you have a choice, and you're not time gated or limited on that choice. Brother, BDO is a great game. Don't forget, already 10 years and still kicking. Hope BDO will stay here for the rest of my life. It's so good. Oh my goodness. If you enjoy both as casual, you can play both if you wish. There's no need to choose between either. Brand loyalty is such a weird thing in the gaming community. Yeah, you could do both, sure. The combat in TNL is just so mediocre in comparison. Find it hard to enjoy the game because of it. So I'll say how it looks from my point of view. Absolutely love the BDO comment system. I never had any problems with grinding for silver. The only thing that keeps me out of BDO right now is the predatory pay-to-win system to buy crons. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. They're really, really, really trying to get you to use crons and buy crons, and it's so stupid. New weapons accessories aren't able to buy from the market. Yes, that's the issue I have. Like, why? That is so stupid. Like, it should be sellable on the market. And the reason why they're not putting it on the market is because they're forcing you to use crons. Okay, they're forcing you to use crons in order to progress your character, your gear. And so, because of that, right, they're not allowing you to put these gear pieces on the market. So it's forcing you to do it, which means you have to buy crons, and the most efficient way to buying crons is, well, it's not really an efficient way, but most cost-effective way is to buy it off the marketplace, which is where people sell their costumes on the marketplace, right? I mean, you can buy them from the vendor, but you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot there because it's a lot more expensive. Let's see. New weapons, accessories, unable to buy off the market, so we're forced to invest hundreds of thousands of crons to max it. On the EU server marketplace, it's literally empty of outfits, so you can pay 3 mil for vendor crons or use real money. Yeah. TNL is free to play. I'm enjoying it for now, and the way we are making our gear, hunting open dungeons for items to max your traits, etc. When players tell me there's nothing to do at level 50, they're lying. probably I'll go back to Black Desert when the devs decide to do something with this endless cron loop, but right now Tino's good enough to invest time. Yeah, I mean, it's fair. It's a fair point. And I agree. There is a lot you can do after level 50, but you just kind of need to be in a solid guild to do that content. I mean, you don't have to. You can solo it, but it's not as good. All right. Well, what a post. What a post. So, hopefully you made it to the end here of the video. Let me know kind of your thoughts on this whole kind of post aspect. We went through a lot of different things here, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And yeah, let's see if we can get a lot of comments like my last video, because it's like a full-time job trying to answer back to everyone, which I love, by the way. I mean, that was awesome. Hopefully we get a lot of traction with this video too, and I get a lot of comments, because being able to hear, all of y'all's kind of perspectives, it's awesome. It's great. So please share your thoughts down below, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. It really helps out the video, helps out the channel to grow. And yeah, at the end of the day, you guys are awesome. You are what makes this channel. So I will see you in the next video. Peace.